Greetings. Fab and Flab tagged me to do a series of questions that had to do with hobbies, and so I thought I'd jump on real fast. I just did the debrief tutorial on Bare Essentials sundress, and so I am going to go ahead and do this hobbies tag. Question number one was to list 3 hobbies that I love doing besides makeup, beauty, and fashion. The first one was easy. I read and write for a living. I'm a professor, and I do that because I love reading and writing. And so I won't show you the book cover, but I just did have a book come out. It's an academic book, and I'll show you a little piece of that because we're supposed to show our hobbies. The reason I won't show the whole book cover is I like to keep this kind of separation between my work and my virtual life. I do that by just going by Wheaton Beauty. I had a Wheaton Terrier named Arlington, and he was my doll baby. Wheaton Beauty is actually named after him. Question number 2 is, how long have you been doing this? I have been reading and writing all my life. I know I wasn't born reading, and I know I wasn't born writing, but I really don't remember a time when those weren't a huge part of my life. I've always done them. And so it's miraculous that somebody actually pays me to do this for a living and to teach other people to do it, because for me it's like breathing. Number 3, what is it that I like about them? What I love about reading and writing is that it's a form of expression. It's very creative, but it's also for me a form of figuring things out. It's how I experience the world. Something happens, I research it, I think through it, and I honestly think in writing. Okay, so that's number 1 through 3, and I've answered it with my first one, which is I love reading and writing. My second hobby that I like to do is needlework, and so I've put a couple of pictures. I'll put those in really quickly to show you some of the things I've done. I've done needlework, I've done crochet. When I was young, I used to do them in very fine print. I like designing my own patterns. I think I probably started that when I was in 4th grade. Again, I love it because it's creative and because I could express myself. I loved it because I could use my hands. The third thing I love doing is riding my 50cc scooters. In Florida, I have a Vespa. In Kentucky, I have a Metropolitan scooter, and I'll put a picture of both of those that you can see them. I did ride a scooter in my 20s, like a moped when I was in my 20s, but I really just started getting into that again maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I just got my Metropolitan, I think, a year and a half ago. I've had the Vespa for a little bit longer, but I enjoy them. I don't know, I like the wind in my hair. I'm not quite adventurous enough for a motorcycle, but that little 50cc is a lot of fun. So I think I got through 3 hobbies. So reading and writing, which I count as one, and then needlework, and then the other is writing. Now, a word about all of these. I have a BRVO in my left eye. I've lost some vision, and so really I have to do much less reading and writing. I can't do as much as I used to. I really can't do needlework at all anymore. I still can ride my scooter because my distance vision is good. It's not something that glasses correct, so I just can't put on a prescription and see. There are actually, it's like Swiss cheese vision is what my doctor calls it. There are actually missing pieces in my vision. And while it doesn't affect me too much long distance or when I'm looking at a distance, up close, it's very difficult to read, and so it's very difficult for me to do any kind of close editing. So one of the reasons I've moved to videos is that I need to be able to have a different way of working. Actually, I used these makeup videos to teach myself how to do kind of podcasts for class and things like that. So how much time do I spend doing these things? Mm. I spend a lot of time reading and writing. I do it differently now. This summer, I'm going to teach myself how to use Dragon, which is dictation software. I do listen to books a lot more. I do large print books. I put books on something like a Kindle or an iPad, more likely, and blow them up big so that I can read them with more ease, and that allows me to read for longer. One of the hardest things for me to get used to is that I really can't read anymore in longer than I'd say a 30 or a 45 minute sitting period. I can't even count how many hours a day I spend reading or writing. It's a lot. And so increasingly, I have to give my eyes a break. Watching videos isn't as hard, so YouTube videos are a real blessing because I'm just not looking at them in such careful detail. And so where there are holes, I'm not noticing it. It's also more of an intermediate distance, which is better for me than a real close up distance. The real close up, itty bitty letters are very, very difficult for me. So kind of a drag, but I've gotten used to it. What do I dislike about my hobbies? Most all my hobbies involve this. Number one, reading or doing needlework, really close up, very difficult on the eyes. And they're things that are sedentary, so I sit all the time and get fat and flabby. So that's not so good. The scooter, at least, I'm out in the air and out in the sunshine and writing, so that's a little bit better. How did you get into your hobby? I honestly don't know. Reading and writing, probably my parents read to me, and my mother did write, and she encouraged us to write, so I think that was a big part of it. Needlework, my grandmother did it. I'm Portuguese, actually Azorean Portuguese, and so needlework and crocheting, things of these things are part of the culture. I don't know. It's something you inherit, you know. What makes me keep coming back to these hobbies? Well, I can't do the needlework and the crocheting anymore. I was never good enough to crochet without looking. I can't imagine a life without books, and I can't imagine a life without writing or somehow doing some form of verbal expression. I do find that my speaking voice is much different than my written voice. That has been what's so difficult. It's not hard to learn something like Dragon software. So it's not hard to learn how to speak and have that go to writing, but I just speak differently than I write. I have different rhythms, I have different thoughts. And so, really getting to the point where I can get my speaking voice closer to my written voice. I know that doesn't make sense. It's a kind of a weird writing thing. Now I've really got to work on how I write, and I need to be able to write in a way that's effective for me and that allows me the same kind of enjoyment and self expression I had when I had eyeballs that worked better. In terms of work, I do a lot more interviewing of people, a lot more putting people on tape. I might end up publishing my next project in multimedia forms rather than in books. That would be a lot easier on my eyes as well. If you had to pick one, which one would you do and why? Mm, okay. Well, it'd have to be reading and writing. I honestly can't imagine a life without reading and writing. I can't imagine a life without needlework. It's something I've done in the past. I won't be doing that anymore. Crocheting, things of that sort. I have my scooters broke tomorrow. I've still got my feet. I've still got my bike. I love to walk. I'd be okay. But could I live without reading or writing? I think I'd be pretty miserable. On the other hand, I really am learning that other forms of media like YouTube, where I can watch videos, really make life a little easier. I've never been one to listen to a lot of music or to just listen to things. And so that's the other thing that I'm having to learn to do is just to sometimes shut off my eyes entirely and just listen, take in the world through my ears instead of through my eyes. But I find it really, really difficult. I love letters. I love print, and I'm a print addict. I just love it. So it's really hard for me to move away from that. The last part is to tag someone. For now, I tag you all. If you're looking at this, it's a good one. Go ahead and try. This is the first time I've been tagged. I haven't been making videos all that long. My first video was March 16th of this year, and I did a couple of tags. I would just kind of go, oh, well, that looks interesting, and I would do them, and I like that. I say, if it is a tag that appeals to you, you should do it. I thought it was a great tag. I really enjoyed doing it. Fab and Flab, thank you for tagging me. You were my first tag. I will remember that. So I think I've rambled on enough, and you've heard enough about my hobbies and my changing lifestyle and the things I'm learning. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoy, please subscribe. Always, always, always make it a great day. Remember, it's in your power to do that. Bye.